Welcome. Thank you for clicking this video. In this channel, I'm going to cover interesting thematic Warframe synergy. From builds, weapons, arcanes, and even a topic that some people consider it taboo, a riven. But before we start, I have to clarify something. By all means, I'm not an expert like many other wonderful Warframe content creator. I'm just a full-time salaryman, enjoying Warframe with friends after a tiring day. So please, if you find the build that I cover, already mentioned by many other experts, treat it as a new point of view. Now the ground rule established. Let's dive in. Warframe is fun game, but fun is not something we can get instantly in this game. You need to craft and make it for yourself any of this so-called fun, albeit Warframe, weapon, or any other equipment such as energy pods and many other stuffs. Crafting need materials, and if we deep dive into materials in Warframe, there's tons and tons material with multiple way of getting it. From mini games such spearfishing, mining, until the traditional way which is material farming by grinding in specific missions. Thus farming in this game becomes somewhat mandatory. But farming will feels like working inside the game, which will diminish the fun of playing the game itself, if we doing it in a long run. Thus we present this loadout that we almost always use when we want to farm any specific materials. Enter Nekrosprime. With his desecrate ability he can double the drop count of every corpse he slain. This very skill makes Nekros a go-to Warframe when most people want to properly farm materials. But farming, like I mentioned before, can be taxing and boring, which makes some people either hate the farm itself, fall asleep, or give up the farm and buying directly with platinum. To anticipate that, this loadout specifically makes playing Nekros somewhat fun, with multiple micromanagement inside of it. With this loadout, when we focus on playing the mechanic of Warframe itself, the concern of farming will feel a little bit lighten, and prolong the process of the farm in return. This is the Funfarmframe. A loadout of one of the best farming Warframe, Nekros. Let's go to the main actor, nekrosprime himself. In first skills, Nekros has soul punch. He punch people in cone-shaped area, marking them. If marked target killed, they will be resurrected as one of Nekros' shadows. If target has 25% or less HP, this skill will instant kill the target. As cool as it sounds, we decide to replace the skill for more quote-unquote reliable defensive skills. The second skill is Terrify. Nekros scream and terrify surround him. Target affected from this skill will run away in panic. With its CC nature, this skill is very good to 1. CC close range target, and 2. To shieldgatting since it has good energy consumption. The third skill is why Nekros is here. Desecrate is the skill that add another chance of corpse to drop another loot. And with despoil augment mod, this skill will drain health instead of energy, making this skill is so efficient. Last skill, is Shadow of the Dead. Nekros summons 7 enemy that he slain as minion. The summoned shadow will has their ability, such as nullifier bubble or damage reduction from ancient. This skill is very good, not only to add more versatility, but also to redirect targeting system from enemies to them, instead to Nekros. And with his augment, this skill will add another form of survivability, damage redirection. Before we going to the modding section, let's see the Subsumed helminth ability. The Subsume ability I choose to put in this Warframe is, Octavia's Resonator. With this skill replacing his first skill, we will have 10 units in total. 7 shadows from Shadow of the Dead, our pet, Resonator, and Nekros himself. Each of those additional unit will has its purpose which we will discuss later in the gameplay section. Let's go to the modding. The design of this modding is to give Nekros as high as possible survivability. Thus we will add a couple layer of defensive stat in this modding. In Arcane, we will has Arcane energized to accommodate the energy usage in this build. The second Arcane is Arcane Guardian to add 900 armor when taking damage. Brief respite in aura, which we always combine with Decaying Dragon Key to do shieldgatting. Despoil to change the consumption type of desecration from energy to health. Primed Flow to increase max energy. Equilibrium to get energy from every health orb. And when this mod combined with Despoil, which will drop a lot of health orbs, our energy will almost never run out. Not stopping there, there's also Synth Set combined with Viral Quills from Panzer Vulpa, which also will give additional chance of dropping health orbs on target killed with Viral Quills on them. More health orbs, more energy from Equilibrium. Next mod is Health Conversion. This mod will add 450 armor for each health orb we get, up to 1350 armor in total with its max 3 stacks. And with that many health orb drop from what we explained before, we will almost has it on max stacks all the time. And if you remember, we also run Arcane Guardian which give us 900 armor. When both of them active, we will almost have additional 2250 armor almost all the time. To add another layer of survivability, we will also use Shield of Shadow mod, to add damage redirection feature, to the Shadow of the Dead skills. And with Blind Rage, and Power Drift mod, power strength will increase to 214%, this will make Shield of Shadow have 12% damage redirection for each shadow linked. This will gives us a total 90% damage redirection when we have 7 shadows, which kind of huge. And on top of that, this mod will also give us a CC immunity when we link to our shadow. Last layer of defenses. Adaptation mod. This mod will give us damage reduction up to 90% for each damage type. Last slot is Vitality, to simply add more health. Because on top of everything I mentioned before, Nekros' base health is still way too low to survive in high-level mission. Since skills and modding of the Warframe explained, let's go to the weapon. The weapon I choose in this loadout is tenetenvoy. But to be honest, you can use any other explosive weapon. One thing you need to know is, you need a high KPS or kill per seconds weapon. More kill, more corpse, more loot. Thus explosive weapon is prioritized. But before we go to the modding section, let's talk about this weapon. Tenetenvoy is an explosive weapon that shoot a missile that has cold base damage, thus picking Toxin Progenitor will directly give us viral elemental combination, without using any elemental mod. This combination will free up some mod slot. Galvanized Chamber, and Vigilante Armament, to increase multi-shot. Critical Delay, and Vital Sense, to increase critical chance and critical damage. Hunter Munition, to add 35% bleed proc on critical hits. Primed Firestorm, to widen the explosive radius. Vile Acceleration, to increase the fire rate. Vigilante Supplies on Exila slot, to increase the critical level, and also give us ammo conversion. The last slot is Riven, but if you don't want to use Riven, you can also replace this with Bane mod, to give additional multiplicative damage modifier. But if you want to use Riven, look for critical chance, critical damage, and multi-shot, with harmless negatives. In Arcane slot, we use Primary Merciless to give us base damage increase up to 360% with max stacks. Now the primary is done, let's go to the melee since I decide to not using any secondary weapon in this loadout. In this loadout, melee weapon that we use, is the same melee weapon in our previous video, the modular ZA weapon, simply because its great feature, exodiacontagion. The modding of this weapon is actually pretty simple. Since the main purpose is to be able to fast cast exodiacontagion, we mod our ZA with pure damage and critical damage. Sacrificial mods to increase max critical chance and raw damage. Spoiled Strike to increase raw damage further. Organ Shatter and Gladiator Might to increase critical damage. Primed Fever Strike and Shocking Touch to make corrosive element, since Exodia explosive damage is 100% viral. Any element will be converted to viral and blast element on the explosions. Last mod is Riven, but if you don't have any Riven you can use any elemental mod in this slot. but if you want to invest riven in your ZA, look for critical chance, critical damage, and melee damage stat. Now the modding section is done, let's see how we use this weapon in this loadout. Similar like our previous video, we're not going to actually hit enemy in close range, instead we treat it like long-range explosive weapon. Simply tap your spacebar twice to double jump. Hold your right mouse button to aim. But instead of shooting, press E to do melee attack in the air. Thus will launch exodiacontagion explosive projectile to target. One thing important about this combination of envoy and ZA contagion is tenetenvoy has very long reload time. By reloading alone you will lost a lot of KPS. Thus when you emptied your mags on envoy, directly use exodiacontagion to keep the damage output out, and let synth set work. Synth set not only work great with viral quills and equilibrium, but also this set will give auto reload when the weapon is holstered. So when we use exodiacontagion, synth set will reload our tenetenvoy's ammo. After a couple exodiacontagion, simply left click to switch back to fully loaded tenetenvoy to continue the explosive gameplay. Speaking of gameplay, let's go to the gameplay section. So, how do we play this loadout? To summarize, there's three main things we need to keep an eye for. The first and the most important is to maintain our three active skills up: Shadow of Dead, Resonator, and of course Desecrate. The second one is shieldgatting. When there's electrified Q in your screen, immediately use Resonator if our enemy is far away, or cast Terrify if the one who hit us is in close range. Last one is about our weapon. Tenetenvoy has a ridiculously long reload. When we emptied our magazine, switch to fast exodiacontagion to maintain the damage output. Always remember, more kill, more corpse, more loot, so KPS, or kill per second, must always be maintained. Thus conclude our fifth loadout, Funfarmframe. Warframe is not grindy compared to most MMO in the industry. But still you need to grind, simply to farm material in order to craft all your needs in Warframe. And Nekros is one of the first Warframe that designed to accommodate this grindy nature of Warframe. Before I close this, I have to admit that this loadout is not for everyone. Sometimes people prefer just want to chill in the corner, camping. Can't blame them since it's way easier, especially when doing it in groups. But if there's a time when you want to solo farm without staying in a place for way too long, and getting bored because of it, you can always give this loadout a shot. Thank you for watching. And if you like this type of content, don't forget to like, share, and of course subscribe for more Warframe videos. This is our inner universe with the nekrosprime loadout. Funfarmframe.